Okay, laddies, welcome to the podcast. I'd like to start this podcast off by saying, welcome to those new fellows or ladies, we do not discriminate, who have joined the podcast because I did gain like 6 subscribers. So shout out to you guys if you're watching this. Let me know down below because I did plug my podcast channel again in yesterday's video. And whenever I do that, I always see a little bit. But 6 subscribers is actually a considerable jump. Usually I only see like 1 or 2, and that's not even guaranteed. But then 6 is pretty cool. And I think it's because I've been doing this new thing on the videos where I'm using this camera as well, in conjunction with the webcam. I don't know why I really hadn't been doing that before, because like I've mentioned before, I've had this camera for a while. About a year now, and it's way better than the webcam. The only reason that is that a bug? What the frick? There's a cockroach. There's a cockroach. Okay, well anyway, that's Timmy. The reason I hadn't been using it was because I don't like the idea of having to charge a camera beforehand, because sometimes I just want to plug it in and go. I just want to start, like, I don't have to charge the webcam or anything. I just click a button and it's ready. With this camera, I need to charge it, and I usually record for about an hour, so that's using up at least 50% of the battery life, I'd say. And so I have to plug it in beforehand. I used to do that for like the first probably year and a half, maybe? Yeah, I'd say a year and a half or maybe 2 years of doing these videos. I would plug in I think I mentioned this before. I would plug in the charger because I had to charge it, and it would be annoying because sometimes it would just die in the middle of an episode, and then I wouldn't have face cam, or I would have to wait like an hour to record. So that's why I haven't been doing that. But to be honest, it was partly because people kept it's a meme about how oily my face is. I do have oily skin. But this webcam does not help me whatsoever. The webcam just makes me look like I'm a I'm a 14-year-old boy in the middle of puberty who's never washed their face before, which is not true. I do have bad skin, but I like moisturize and stuff to counteract it. So it's not nearly as bad as the webcam makes it seem. So then that cuts away that I like to do cuts where it just zooms into my face. Usually it's me trying to make a joke or something like that, but I kind of shied away from that because I knew every time I cut to that, people would just be like, "Oh, dude, your skin sucks," and I didn't. I did like it's fine to make the jokes. I don't have I'm not really that sensitive when it comes to it, but it was just a little bit annoying, I guess, to always have the same, "Oh dude, you're super oily" jokes. So that's why I put this camera in as well. I don't know why I have this cough still. I think it's because I came down here and it's smelly and there are cockroaches down here. But unlike several podcasts, this is, by the way, this is like podcast episode number 13 or something, which is basically 3 months. And that I like to give myself a pat on the back for 3 months straight of podcasts. That's pretty decent. Because I know a lot of other people are getting way more subscribers, way more video views on their podcasts, and they are not as frequent as I am, or as steady, as consistent. Doesn't really matter. As soon as I get into something, I start doing it. Like, if I like watching FIFA videos, I make my own FIFA content, make my own FIFA videos. If I see sketches that I like, I start making my own sketches. If I just start listening to podcasts. That's where this came from. I should like having girlfriends. But like I should have mentioned, I actually have prepared myself for today's podcast. I got the water. Water's check. I wrote down some ideas. They're on this phone. By the way, this phone was like $60. It's called a BLU phone, a blue. It's by Amazon. And it is just as good as my previous phone, which was like $400 or something ridiculous. So then my sister needed a phone, and she was thinking about getting like a Samsung Galaxy because she had an old Galaxy, but it was several years old. The camera had cracked, and it was just like a slow phone that wasn't always reliable. So then she was like, I think she was pretty willing to spend multiple hundreds of dollars, couple $100 on a new Samsung phone, an older generation, but still a new phone. And then I was like, well, let me see what kinds of phones BLU has, because this is not a sponsored video, by the way, because I have like 50 viewers. But BLU, if you want to sponsor me, definitely do it, because I actually use your phones. You can also, by the way, send me a free phone if you want. I need it. This one's like the basic model. But we spent like $180 on a phone, a brand new phone, and the megapixels on the camera are like 16 for the front facing and 13 for the other one, I guess the back facing camera. And it has like 8 gigs of RAM or something. Maybe, I don't know how much that is that seems like a pretty good amount for a phone. And overall, it's just a fast phone, and I don't understand how people can spend thousands of dollars on a phone every year, and then you can just get like this phone for $200. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand phone people. But that is to say, I wrote down some ideas here. So I usually don't do that because I like to just talk about whatever. But I was listening back to one of my podcasts, which I don't usually do, and I thought, yeah, this is interesting. This is a good podcast, but I'm not really that funny, and I kind of want to be funnier. So I'm going to try to be a little bit funnier. It could be, I don't like to force things, with that being said, because whenever you start forcing something, it's not going to be as good. But I always get into like these deep thoughts and like never try to keep a lighthearted conversation. It's not so much I'm going to try to be funny. I want to keep a lighthearted conversation, because sometimes these podcasts can get heavy and it's not something people always want to listen to. I like to, personally, all the podcasts I listen to are just lighthearted conversations where it's proper banter. Oh, this is, let me see, how many questions are there? I actually haven't. Adam, let me get into the questions first. Let's mix it up, because these jokes could be kind of funny. I don't know. Adam Amer says, Adam Amer, why do you support Tottenham? What were your goals when you started YouTube? What can I do to get my actual dad to show love and affection? I support Tottenham because I like Gareth Bale. That was right when I started watching it. His like crazy year, I think 2013. So that's why I support Tottenham. Then they got Heung-min's son, and I liked him as well. But it was mainly because of Gareth Bale. I don't like Real Madrid though, so I was kind of disappointed when he left. But that's the only reason. I was trying to pick a team, and as I've mentioned on this before, I like the Red Sox, Boston Red Sox in baseball. They're my favorite team. So I was going to choose Liverpool because the Red Sox ownership is the same one that owns Liverpool. But it's not like I dislike Liverpool. To be honest, I don't dislike any team, really. I don't even dislike Arsenal. Just because I got into it kind of late, and I don't feel the actual hatred or any animosity. So I just I support Tottenham, but it's not like a hardcore support. Kurt Walter said, oh, actually, hold on. What were your goals when you started YouTube? I didn't really have any goals, to be honest. It was, well, is that true? I don't know. When I first started YouTube, I know I've mentioned before in previous videos, not in the podcast, but I said that I wasn't so concerned about getting views. I was more concerned about the quality of the content getting better, which is true. But it's not like I was only concerned with the quality of the content. I wanted to get thousands of subscribers, like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, just because I wanted that to validate my YouTubing, and I wanted to become just a full-time YouTuber because it's fun and I like to do it. So I would always say that, but I would suppose it was probably like 60% I just want to get better content, 40% I want more subscribers. But to be honest, and this is something I actually wrote down, I don't think I want to get a very big subscriber growth anymore. And that sounds weird, but I don't I don't know. I've just kind of lost the love for YouTube, not in the sense of creating. I'm still going to create stuff. It's just YouTube happens to be the easiest outlet for that. But I can see where YouTube has is headed, and I can see where they've been headed for the past couple of years. And it's not in a direction that I really am hoping to be a part of, because it's basically, in my opinion, just reality TV. But it's not even. I was thinking about this last night. It is reality TV in the sense that reality TV is like a genre. Not saying that nonfiction fiction. For some reason, this was an argument. I always have these arguments in my head with myself because I'm a crazy person. But I was thinking how someone might think of reality TV and be like, well, yeah, but you have documentaries and stuff on YouTube, which are great. And I agree. I like documentaries, and that's not the same vein as reality TV. Reality TV is just kind of controversy for the sake of controversy. And it's just creating drama out of nothing, which is precisely what the Logan Paul KSI fight is. Even though I am pretty interested in it and I'm going to watch it, and I watch a lot of videos related to it, I like to watch those videos related to it because I think it's hilarious when they make fun of it. If it's something like being serious about breaking down who's going to win and whatnot, I just don't care, because it's like, how can you make a proper assessment? If it was something like Manny Pacquiao fighting Miguel Cotto, or yesterday, I'm not a huge boxing fan, but I do watch some fights. I was watching Amir Khan versus Canelo Alvarez. You can make an assessment on who's going to win that fight, and you can have actual reasons. You can know that Amir Khan has great hand speed, but he's a smaller guy moving up to an upper weight class. Canelo Alvarez is a great boxer who fights very defensively on the counterpunch, and he's bigger. So you can be like, well, based off that, I predict Canelo Alvarez will knock him out on a counterpunch or something like that. Or you could say Amir Khan will win by a decision because he just runs around the ring a lot faster with quicker hand speed, gets shots in, and ducks and moves away. You can say that, and he can actually have a point behind it. On all these videos where they're predicting, is KSI going to win? Is Logan Paul going to win? They're just like, well, if you look at the press conference, KSI called him a mug, and then Logan Paul didn't say anything. What? What is that? This is a video? This constitutes a video? Or there's something like a lot of these people are YouTubers that I actually like and YouTubers who I watch. And then it's like, how are you able to make an assessment? I've never seen Logan Paul fight. I've seen KSI fight once, and to be honest, he didn't look that great. Joe Weller just stood there and took punches. Like, what was that? So how are you supposed to make an assessment? How are you going to make a judgment on that? You've never seen them. They have no history. They're amateurs. They're not even like good amateurs. It's like it's funny because you're taking basically nerds like me. I'm a nerd. You're just taking a nerd who plays video games, who made their name playing video games, and then suddenly they're fighting each other as boxers, proper boxers, mate. And it's jokes. It's hilarious to me because you can just watch their fight. And if you watch a real boxing match, if someone takes a shot and you slow it down and you see how much force there is and you see their whole face move back like that, those happen, and the guy doesn't even, like, he'll be stunned, but he's taught himself over time not to go down or not to make his legs wobble, even though he's just took a huge punch to the face, and he'll come back from that and he'll fight. I guarantee if either of them take a punch, because they can probably hit pretty hard. It's not so hard to hit. It's like once you've trained yourself to punch hard, that's not really that challenging. It's about having the conditioning and being able to move around and timing your punches. That's what really matters. But if one of them takes a clean shot to the face, it's over. Like, it's not even going to be close, because first of all, they're not trained to take shots like that. Nor should they really be. They're not boxers. They're just YouTubers who are creating drama for the sake of it. Reality TV. So either of them are going to go down immediately because they're not trained for it. But they're also going to go down because, even if they don't go down, but they're wobbled, the fight's going to stop because it's not a real fight. They're not professional fighters. If one of them takes a shot, his legs go. Even if he doesn't fall down, the ref is going to call the fight because their managers would be livid if anything happened to them. I know people are saying if you lose this fight, your career's over. It's not necessarily true, and it's not true. It's just completely not true. The only way that would happen is if they walk out and one of them gets immediately knocked out, like within seconds. Or if one of them just stands there for the whole time getting punched and doesn't really put up a fight, or like one taps out or something like that. But Joe Weller did not do anything. He just stood there and got punched repeatedly. But people called him a warrior or something like that. They were so proud of his courageousness for standing in the ring. And it wasn't a good fight. His fight was really bad. He didn't do anything, and his career's not over. The only way that someone's career would be over is if they get absolutely laid out and fall flat on the ground. And I really like the True Geordie, but he like hypes it up so much. It's almost as if you think it's a real fight, like a professional fight, and it's not. I'm rambling on too much about this, but oh wow, that actually checked off 2 things. I've already checked off things without even meaning to do it. Maybe I don't need to write down lists. This was in response to the question, what were your goals when you started YouTube? My goal was to get into a boxing fight with KSI. No, but like I don't care about the subscribers anymore because I do have this job, which it's good enough that I could, if I had to, I could stay here for like 10 years and get enough money, and I don't spend a lot of money, and I'd be pretty good. Like, I'd be set, okay? But it's not the money that really matters to me. The whole reason I wanted to be popular on YouTube was because I wanted to have financial stability and also a creative outlet at the same time. And so that still is a goal of mine, but I'm not gonna suddenly become one of these guys who, like, man, I don't know how to say this without coming off like a wiener, but most of the people who are becoming successful on YouTube are doing it because off the backs of others, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The whole reason why the KSI Logan Paul fight is huge is because everyone can just put KSI Logan Paul in the title, in the thumbnail, in the tags, in the description, and they're going to get views. Which I don't blame them if that's what they want, but it's not. It's like I said, it's just content that doesn't have a purpose. Like, who do I think is going to win the KSI Logan Paul fight? If I did that video, I would get like 1,000 views at least. And it takes no effort. It's just me putting the camera down going, well, I think that Logan Paul is going to win because he's bigger and he has a history of wrestling. And KSI is going to have to be quicker on the ring because he's smaller. It's just, I'm just saying stuff that most people know and most people already have heard. But then because I put the title, people are like, oh, I wonder what he said. Because I will click those videos too. It's just about driving clicks. It doesn't matter about the content. And it bothers me. If you watch, I was just watching these videos before. It's from a channel called Good Neighbor Stuff, and he has videos called like Sporty and Sad. His titles, and this was before thumbnails were even customizable. So his thumbnails are basically just him in front of the camera making a stupid face. And he doesn't put clickbait because clickbait didn't exist back then. And his descriptions are really short, and I don't even know if he has tags, to be honest. But these videos are some of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. And it's just improv. It's not like something that he sat down and crafted and spent years working on, because they're YouTube videos. But they're funny by themselves. They don't need anything else to back themselves up with. The a similar person to this is Gus Johnson, who I don't know if you guys have watched him, but he's funny and his videos are good. But he's recently had a pretty good subscriber growth, but it's not like he's clickbaited, but he's done relatable stuff. Like the only way I found him was because his videos always get posted to Reddit, and he had a video titled something about like Spotify ads. So I clicked it because I think Spotify ads are dumb too. So then it's relatable, and I got it. But he wouldn't have, because there's so many different sources of entertainment on YouTube now. If he had just titled it like loud ads, it wouldn't have gotten millions of views. And if he titled all his videos stuff that was just kind of random, like Good Neighbor Stuff does, you wouldn't be able to find his videos. And that's part of it is because YouTube hasn't really done a good job in promoting content that isn't just based off their algorithm. However their algorithm works, if you click one Logan Paul KSI video, then hundreds of Logan Paul KSI videos will show up on the sidebar. Which, whatever, I guess it makes sense from Google's perspective and from YouTube's perspective. If you click on that, you're highly likely to click on these other ones. But for someone who, I don't want to just consume that, it's the same thing that happened with Fortnite. I click on one Fortnite video. I liked Fortnite. It's good. It's a good game, but I don't want to just watch Fortnite. I click on one Fortnite video. Suddenly, everything in the sidebar is Fortnite. It's like Fortnite, colorful things in the thumbnail. I'm like, I don't want to watch these. So I don't know. I'm like slightly disenchanted with YouTube. I think Spencer FC has already said this. But yeah, that's a really long answer to a question that did not require that. But thank you for the question. Kurt Walters says, actually, he says, thanks for answering my question, LT. Guess having goals and breaking down the goals into smaller daily tasks is one of the best ways to not feel overwhelmed. Yeah, I agree with that. This is what I mentioned last podcast, if you guys want to check that out. Like I said in the last podcast, that's something I stick by and I think is really good. I think it's advice. That's good advice. But it's hard for me to always do it. Like I wanted to write a song this week. Oh, actually, it's sometimes it's hard to record how much you actually do. Like I wanted to write a song. I haven't written the song yet, but I did practice stuff, and it seems like it might be little insignificant things, but over time it builds and it helps create a better end product. So the specific example is, I'm trying to write a song, and I like jazz piano. I don't really know how to play jazz piano too much in terms of music theory, so I've been watching videos on that. And so the whole past week, I've been like watching videos. I learned about secondary dominant chords and how to change keys well in jazz. And so then I started practicing on my piano, and I have a pretty good set of chords going, like a melody in the right hand, a good bass in the left hand, and there's a potential for a song there. So even though it's not like I've not been setting my goal like, okay, today I want to finish the first verse, and then I finish the first verse, then tomorrow I want to finish the second verse, and then Thursday I want to go back over and make sure everything sounds good. I haven't been doing it like that. So I do agree with what I said last week. It's good to break stuff into smaller goals, but sometimes your smaller goals don't need to be actually written down. They can just happen naturally. I'm a big fan, you can probably tell, I'm a big fan of not actually writing things down, because I think it becomes easy to get overwhelmed when you have everything written down. Sometimes I just like to go with the flow and just do things as they come. But I mean, to each their own. Some people would disagree with that, and it's easier to track. So yeah, that's the only question. If you guys have questions, leave them down below. But now, onto my lighthearted commentary. What I was thinking about this, as I mentioned, I do spend a lot of time in traffic, and I get really bored. I also spend a lot of time at work, just like kind of sitting there, because we don't always have very busy periods. So, I've been watching Love Island. If you don't know what that show is, it's a British reality show. I was just mentioning how I don't like British reality. Or I don't like reality TV shows. This is like the only one I've ever watched, and I don't really like it. It's just kind of there, and so I watch it just so I can. I like to expose myself. That is such a bad verb to use. That's such a bad sentence. So much. Have you seen those Surf Frog videos where they just splice together things out of order? I saw the KSI Logan Paul face-to-face thing, and then I didn't watch the thing, but I watched the cut-out version, and they're just going, "I am God." And it was really funny because I didn't have any context. That's what happened. But someone should do that with one of these videos, and no one will ever click on it. But I like to... What's a different... I'm going to thesaurus this. I don't want to say expose myself, but I like to... what is... I'm just going to say it. I like to expose myself to different types of content, just because it makes me feel like a more well-rounded creator, I guess that is, and the proof is in the pudding. The pudding. I can't believe I just said expose myself. I'm imagining this is a podcast that like 50 people watch, so it's not like a huge deal. But imagine if I was like in an this reminds me kind of when I do interviews. When I was trying to get into business school, I had to do interview, or when I was getting this job or 3 jobs, I had to do interview, and I'm not really accustomed to speaking in a formal setting too often, but I can just imagine myself trying to say that sentence, like I can remember my Chick-fil-A interview really well, and I could just imagine myself sitting there and going, yeah, I just like to really expose myself to, and then the owner's like, what? And then everyone around me, because we were in the middle of the dining area, so there were customers around us, and then I could see the customers looking over to me like, did he just say expose himself? But I like to expose myself to different forms of content. So Love Island is a reality TV show. And I was thinking of how funny it would be, because Love Island is where all the people are like really, all the guys have 6-packs, and they're all like beautiful people, and they're all ripped, and all the girls are very attractive. And it's basically, if you put the most attractive people in a small house, what happens? Which makes sense. But I always like to take things the opposite direction. So instead of all the most attractive people in a villa in Spain, in the Balearic Islands, how about you take a bunch of computer programmers and put them in just an office, in an office building, but they can't leave the office building, and the only place they all go is the coffee break room, because this is very pertinent to me as I work in a software company, and the most awkward part of my day, and partly the reason why I don't drink coffee or drink the coffee at work anymore, is because if you want coffee, you have to go into the break room. And unless you get there really early, or if you're going at a strange time, you're likely going to have to wait in line. And it's just extremely awkward because, first of all, I don't know the people. I don't know the developers' names because we don't talk to them. I'm on the sales team, so I don't talk to the people from the development team. And second of all, they're all programmers. They don't talk. Like, that's just not in their personality, which is fine because I'm also very I also have social anxiety, and I don't really like to talk to people too much, and I get all weird. So it would just be, if you were watching this reality TV show, it would just be a bunch of computer programmers wearing like Pokemon t-shirts and having their headphones in, or like having headphones around their necks, all holding a cup of coffee, looking just like staring at the ground, not even like avoiding eye contact at all costs. You might even see someone like walk into the corner and just like stare at the corner because they don't want to do anything. Or there are little chairs, little desks, little areas to sit and eat your food if you want to eat lunch. If you want to be that person, you can eat lunch in the break room and just say hi to everyone who walks in. It would just be everyone staring at the ground, and it would be so funny. I would I would watch that in a heartbeat, and I think someone else would find that pretty funny. So that's what I was thinking about when I that's what I was thinking about when I was bored in traffic or bored at work, because I get bored at work really easily. Because like I finish. It's not like we don't do anything, but my personality and what I've realized over time is before like 1 p.m. is when I'm most effective and when I'm most concentrated. So I'll show up to work earlier than most than others, and then I'll work for like 4 or 5 hours straight, just continuously doing tasks, and I'll just put in music. And I really like to understand how something works, and then once I get how it works, I just continue to do it over and over again until I get proficient at it. And so I'll just do it for 4 or 5 hours, and slowly that time is being cut down as I get better and better at it. And so I have a tendency in the afternoon to just not have anything to do, and I don't really know what to do. So I just sit there. But I was thinking I could just write a story, because at my other jobs, this would happen too. Like when I was a waiter, sometimes there would be nothing to do. And so I would just stand there. Or at Chick-fil-A, at Chick-fil-A, to be honest, there were like very few times where you're doing nothing. And if you had nothing to do, they would find something for you to do. One time, I was about to leave. It was like 3:30, and my shift was at 4. My shift ended at 4, and we had just finished like the lunch rush and like an early afternoon rush. And so I was really tired, and I kind of just wanted to sit at the drink station and just, it's really easy at the drink station. Like something pops up on the screen and tells you what you need to do. You grab a cup, you fill it up with your drink, you put ice, and then you put it out the window. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to run around, you don't have to talk to anyone, and it was easy. So I was doing that, and I was very content just staying there for the next 30 minutes until my shift was over. But instead, someone's like, hey, LT, can you go throw out the trash? Because they like to have the guys throw out the trash, which is fine because it is really heavy and whatever. But so I said, sure, that's fine. And I'd thrown the trash out before. It's not something terrible. Usually it takes like 5 minutes. It's annoying because it's kind of gross, and you have to go pretty far to a trash can to throw everything out. So you have to walk through the kitchen area, and I get into the back where we have the trash room, and I try to open the door because you push, and I pushed it and it didn't go anywhere. And I'm like, well, what the heck? So I pushed it even harder, and then I just hear bags cracking and like the styrofoam cups crashing into each other. And I realized this entire room is filled with trash. No one had thrown it out that day, and I don't know why. It's probably like a 15-foot by 15-foot square, and the entire floor was covered with just garbage. And it was so disgusting. It's making me almost gag thinking about it. Because it's one thing to be trash that's kind of like empty plastic cups or like empty chicken bags, because that trash isn't that gross. What gets gross is when people they throw away full things of Coke, and then the Coke spills out. Or the kitchen they had cut like lettuce that day. Well, they cut lettuce every day, but they had the lettuce cut up and all the vegetables cut up from the day, and then anything that was bad or spoiled or just they didn't need, anything extra they threw into the bags, but then they left it there, and I had to do it. And so I put as much as I can into this giant bin, and I wheel it over to the garbage area, and then I get into the garbage area, and it smells terrible. And I try to open the side, and I realize the reason why they had not been throwing the trash out that day was because the garbage collectors forgot to come and empty the giant garbage things. So there was no room at all. So what I had to do, because they told me to throw it out, and I didn't know what to do, I opened the top, and I had to get a step ladder, and then I had to hurl these giant bags, which were pretty heavy, probably like 30 pounds, filled with just like Coca-Cola mixed with lettuce juice, which I didn't even know existed. Lettuce somehow has juice to it. It might have been water. I'm not exactly sure. I had to just like pick these up and sling them up in the air, and stuff is just going flying. Some people don't always tie the bags correctly, so particles can come out. Sometimes the bags rip because it's like 30 pounds. I'm just flinging all this stuff, and it took forever, and I didn't even finish the whole thing. And then I go back because I had to keep making trips back and forth because I had to keep filling up this carton to wheel over there. So I made like 4 or 5 trips, which was just extraordinary because usually it's just one and you're done. And then I get back after like the 4th time, and then someone goes, "Hey, you're done. It's like 4:20. You can leave." I'm like, "It's 4:20?" I had been there for like an hour just picking up absolute garbage, literal garbage, and flinging it. And so I just had garbage juice all over myself, and I had to go home, and I'm like, is this my life? This is what I'm doing? No wonder Logan Paul, like if I had the choice of slinging garbage for $10 an hour or acting like a buffoon and just saying Maverick over and over again and dabbing and being a millionaire, it's a very simple choice. I would definitely sling the garbage. Yeah, so that's my garbage story. But I was thinking about, because I get bored at work, and at these other, like at Chick-fil-A and at my waiter job, if you're bored, you can't really do anything because you're kind of just stuck there. You don't have anything with you. But at this job, I'm at a computer. So the computer gives me access to the internet and gives me access to like places where I can record my thoughts and stuff like that. So I was thinking about actually writing. I could write a story, and I've always wanted to write a story. But what happens is I'll have one day where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna write a story, and then I'll write that day, and I'll write for like 2 hours, and I'll have something that's like pretty good but not great, and then I won't ever look at it again because I'll just forget, and I'm not consistent like that unless I have a record going where I get feedback. I'm not really consistent. But with this, because it's so often that I find myself in the situation, I would probably be able to write a story. I don't know how good it would be. I don't know what it would be about, but it could be kind of funny. I could write like a screenplay for a video that's kind of not like a movie, but kind of a sketch. I could write sketches while I'm at work. That would actually be funny. And then I could just email it to myself. And so that's probably what I might end up doing. Because for the most part, sometimes I just sit there and like listen to music, and it's fun to do that, but I also sit there and listen to music on my way to and from work. So I don't like to always just not do anything because I don't feel very productive. But we're nearing the end of the podcast, boys. We have a couple of minutes left. Let's see if I can finish it off with anything. We did, so I mentioned Love Island with Nerds. That was my first thing. KSI, Logan Paul, I talked about that. Good Neighbor stuff, talked about that. How I don't want to be famous. I didn't really get into that. I guess I kind of did, but like I see with bigger YouTube channels, sometimes their comment section gets just like, you can't, when it gets to the point where people don't really care about yourself as the personality, or that's not even true. I realized that I don't really like being the center of attention. I knew that about myself. I'm not the kind of person who wants to be in everyone's face, and I don't like attention because I don't know, I just get anxious about it. I like creating stuff. And so I was thinking, the reason I don't do vlogs isn't actually because they're boring. Well, it is because they're boring, but it's boring because vlogs would be about myself. And I would rather be in a position where I could film other people, because I like to create things, but I don't like to be the attention because I don't think I'm that funny, and I don't think I'm that entertaining to watch. I was trying to do a live stream. The reason I don't like doing live streams as much is because I am not that funny at creating things on my own. Like, I can't just start improvising and it be funny. I can do okay at times, but I generally need something to bounce off of. Like, if I have a reaction video, it can be okay. It can be kind of funny. But that's mainly because the video itself is funny. Like, if I had the cringe video I did on my main channel, I thought it was good. And it was funny because there was obvious cringe within the video itself. So it makes it a lot easier. I don't feel pressure to actually generate anything by myself. Like when I was doing a Fortnite live stream yesterday, and I had like 10 or so viewers in it, and I thought it was a fun time. But I did mention how I don't think I'm actually that funny, and I feel like there's pressure on me to perform during like a live stream or even during this podcast. I feel like there's pressure because there are no cuts, and there's not going to be editing to put in to make it funny. It's just you have this moment, you have to be funny. It was never a dream of mine or an aspiration to be a stand-up comedian because I never really thought I would be good at it. So what does that have to do with what I was talking about? I don't know. I'm dumb. I'm a dumb boy. Oh yeah, but I don't know. I don't really want to be famous because I don't want the attention for myself. I'd rather have like the work to be funny. Whatever video I have, I'd rather people be like, "Oh, that video is so funny," instead of, "Oh, LT, you're hilarious." Cuz I don't think I am. I think I'm okay at creating situations that are funny, but it's not like I'm the person that's funny. I don't know what that means, but we hit 40 minutes. For some reason, I like to stop at 40 minutes. Hope you guys did enjoy this podcast. It was super fun. It was a good time. As always, leave your comments down below. You will have a chance to be featured on next week's video. Hope to see you guys soon. Let me know. Go subscribe to... Okay, wait a second. Hold on. Wait, everyone, please wait. If you're subscribed here, you will probably like extra long Oh, shoot. Cut. If you guys are subscribed here, you'll probably like Long Transaction Vivo, which is my music channel. That's not guaranteed, but you might like it. So please check out Long Transaction Vivo. It's my music channel. There's some banterous musics over there. You might like it. I'm Swedish now. Okay, thank you. Go check it out. Link is in the description. Buy my merch. I don't actually have any merch, but that's how YouTubers end their videos. See you guys next week, and as always, don't forget to spay pets.